All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business. Good morning. You're listening to the Daily Morning Update from Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. Today's the 20th of December. Thanks so much for your messages yesterday, by the way. Now, here's what you need to know today. The Federal Reserve raised rates for the fourth time this year despite a stock market sell-off and defying pressure from President Donald Trump. At the same time, it dialed back projections for interest rates and economic growth in 2019. By trimming the number of rate hikes they foresee in 2019 to 2 from 3, policymakers signaled that they may soon pause their monetary tightening campaign. So, while the Fed leaned towards a dovish stance during its latest policy meeting, financial markets clearly wanted more. US stocks fell to a nearly 15-month low after the policy decision, with the S&P 500 closing just a bit above 2,500. The Dow fell over 300 points, while the Nasdaq declined over 2%. Asian markets, meanwhile, have gotten off to a weak start, with all three early risers losing ground. The Nikkei in Japan was lower by about 1%. Now, crude's been in focus lately because the markets have been speculating whether the agreed-upon production cuts by the OPEC Plus group will be enough to prevent oversupply in 2019. Now, Saudi Arabia Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih said that he's sure that the production deal signed earlier this month will be extended in April. His comments seem to be in a bid to shore up confidence and support oil prices, which have been declining despite the prospect of the upcoming production cuts. Now, India's bonds and its currency will continue to be in focus today as well. They have been because of the fall in crude oil prices. The rupee gained further, though only marginally, to end at 70.40 against the dollar yesterday. The yield on the 10-year benchmark, meanwhile, declined further to 7.22%. Now, speaking about bond yields and the interest rates, the minutes of the last Monetary Policy Committee meeting were released yesterday. It turns out that all the members voted in favor of a pause on account of the recent volatility in the inflation readings. While all members noted that the inflation outlook remained stable, they agreed that more data was needed before the MPC could take comfort from it. In news on the banking space, Economic Affairs Secretary Subhash Chandra Garg said that the government would announce a new recapitalization plan for public sector banks today. His statement came after Bloomberg reported, quoting an anonymous government official, that the government would infuse an additional 40,000 crore rupees in state-owned lenders that are running short of capital and that are saddled with bad loans. In other news, a subsidiary of Religare Enterprises filed a criminal complaint against the Singh brothers, former promoters of the parent, and their associates for allegedly siphoning and misappropriating 740 crore rupees. Now, we haven't heard about the Punjab National Bank fraud case in quite a while. It turns out the Central Bureau of Investigation has arrested 8 officials of Punjab National Bank and 2 businessmen for defrauding the lender to the extent of 9 crore rupees. In other international news, the People's Bank of China has undertaken what some are calling a low-profile rate cut. It said it would supply lower-cost liquidity for as long as 3 years to banks willing to lend more to smaller companies. The move is part of a series aimed at bolstering China's slowing economy. In addition to 4 cuts to reserve requirements so far this year, the new funding tools signal that the policymakers remain concerned about the threat to economic growth. With that, it's over to Agam Vakil for the trade setup for the day in India. Good morning, Agam. How are we looking at the start of today?
Good morning, Alex, and good morning, listeners. While tracking cues from weakness across the globe, we are seeing the SGX Nifty futures trending downwards by nearly 1%, and we are expecting our own benchmark indices to open in the red as well. However, in stocks and news, let's start off with KPIT Technologies, where the NCLT has approved the merger plan with Birlasoft, which will then split into 2 publicly traded companies, and the tribunal has also approved the demerger of the company's engineering business into KPIT Engineering. Moving on to Coal India, it is looking to buy coking coal mines in Australia and Canada. The state-run miner has identified certain assets which are under different stages of due diligence, according to Coal Minister Piyush Goyal, who has told lawmakers in a written reply to questions. Sun Pharma is also likely to open in the green after it's received a new drug application for drug name Ezalor receives a US FDA approval on December 18th. Finally, Wockhardt might be in focus considering it is looking to raise funds by issuing preference shares on December 22nd. These are just some of the stocks that could be in focus in today's day of trade. Before more, don't forget to go through our morning edition of All You Need to Know on BloombergQuint.com.
Thanks, Agam, and thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. As always, have a lovely day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma. Or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.